Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Mal and I'm the owner and maker of Made by MANIANDMAL. In today's video, we're going to be creating a really sparkly and super dimensional night sky tumbler. We're going to use a lot of glitter on this cup, and we're also going to use some vinyl from Teckwrap Craft to really bring everything to life and kind of tie everything together. I really love how this cup turned out, and I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well. Everything I'm using is listed down below in the description box. I've also got links to all of my social media pages, my Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook group, Patreon group. All of that stuff is listed down there as well. And you know I've got some discount codes down there for you too. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you like the video. Let's go! We're going to jump right in with a custom glitter mix, of course. We're going to take Edge of Glory from PDB and After Dark, also from PDB. These are two kind of multi-size mixes on their own, so mixing them together is going to give us a really beautiful multi-dimensional glitter. So mixing these, I'm just doing a 50-50 ratio. I mix 30 milliliters of each color, and that's the mix. Oh my gosh. I love it. So now to put it on the cup, I'm using a 20-ounce Modern from Craft Haven, and I base painted it using Gloss Black from Rustoleum. I usually prefer flat black spray paint, but I couldn't find any, so I went with gloss, but it's okay. So I used my Crystalac glitter glue to apply this glitter. I just brushed a thin layer all over the surface of my cup. Oh my gosh, look at that glitter. And now I'm going to cover the entire cup in this glitter mixture. I'm going to let this dry a full 2 hours. The glitter glue does take 2 hours to dry, so once it's fully dry, I'm going to seal it again using the glitter glue. Sealing the glitter, especially chunky glitters, helps them to lie flat so that when you go in and you add your epoxy, your glitter isn't poking up and giving you all kinds of trouble. So I really like to seal my glitters with the glitter glue, even if it's just one color all over the cup like this one is. It just helps everything lie flat and helps the epoxy go on smoothly. So once that was on there, I let that dry another 2 hours, and you can see that my glitter is flat. I'm not going to have any issues when I apply my epoxy. So this epoxy layer is about, I would say, 25 to 30 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy. And I let this first layer cure about 6 to 8 hours before I went right in with a second coat. The second coat was about 15 to 20 milliliters. We're aiming for our cup to be as smooth as possible, but it doesn't need to be perfectly smooth at this point, so 2 coats of epoxy is totally fine. So once that second coat was all cured, I mixed up about 30 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, of course, and I'm going to add a little bit of depth and dimension to our cup. So in all these little separate medicine cups, I'm going to put some different pigments and glitters. So first I have Snow White from PDB, and then Wishing Well, also from PDB. And then I'm taking Clay pigment powder from Simply Sarah in one cup. And then in another cup, I started out with this black epoxy dye from Hobby Lobby. It's terrible, so I don't recommend that. But once I had all my cups filled, I'm going to add about 5-ish milliliters into each one and then mix them all together. And you should have enough epoxy left to have a little extra and also coat your entire cup. So I'm going to put maybe 5 to 10 milliliters on my cup of just the plain regular epoxy. This is going to help our pigments and glitters kind of move and swirl naturally along the cup. So what we're going to do with these pigments and glitters is try to create a really cool, deep dimensional night sky effect. So I'm going to take our teal first. This is clay mixed in with the epoxy, and you can see I'm just like finger painting it all over the cup. If you wanted to focus just on the top half of the cup for your night sky, you totally can. I did the entire cup just because I wanted it to go all the way down to the bottom so that you could kind of see it in between the trees that we're gonna add later, just in case to cover all my bases. So once I was done with clay, I took the mixture that has the black epoxy dye in it, and it just wasn't dark enough for me, so I took the extra epoxy that I had left over and I added some black pearl pigment powder from PDB into it, and that really gave me the black color that I was looking for. So I did the exact same thing with the black. I just kind of finger painted it on the cup in random spots. And then once I had that on there, I took the mixture that has Wishing Well, the glitter in it, and I'm finger painting that over my black spots, like right on top of them. And I learned this technique from Vanessa at VMD Designs. She does this with her black opals, and she takes her black epoxy and then she puts glitter on top, and then she puts another layer of black on top, and it gives it a really, really cool effect. So I use that technique on this cup and I really, really love it. So thanks, Vanessa, for teaching me that. And then, so once I had the black on top of my Wishing Well glitter, I went in again with the mixture that has Snow White in it. And Snow White has a really, really cool effect over a dark base. So I'm finger painting this over the black again. And then once I've got that on there, I'm going to go back in with my black one more time, just over it. And I'm not covering the glitter completely. Obviously I want to see it, but it kind of peeks through the black and looks really, really cool. So then finally, I'm going to go in and apply the rest of my mixture that has the clay mica powder in it. And then next, to add a little bit more dimension and sparkle, I'm going to sprinkle on some chrome flakes. These are from PDB, and I'm just sticking a popsicle stick into the container and just kind of sprinkling them all over the cup. This first color I'm using is called Dream, and it's like a purple blue shift flake. It's so beautiful. And then to add even more, I went in with a second color of these flakes. This one is Galactic, and it has more of a purple green almost vibe. So putting those on there together added a whole lot of depth and dimension to this cup. Once I was done with the flakes, I hit it with my torch to pop any bubbles that we might have, and then I let this spin for probably about 12 hours. And then once it was all cured, I went in on top of this and added another coat. This coat was pretty thin. I think I only added maybe 10-ish milliliters, very, very thin. And then in this coat as well, I'm going to take some of my extra epoxy and mix it into the glitter mix that we applied to the cup in the very beginning. So there I've got about 5-ish milliliters of epoxy and my glitter. And I'm going to spread this on the cup the same way I did with all of the pigments and the glitters in the previous step. This is just to bring that base glitter kind of up into the forefront a little bit and kind of make that color a little bit more prominent, just to add even more depth and dimension and everything, and really just like level this cup up. So this is what it looks like up close. And I'm gonna let that cure overnight. I let it spin about 5 hours and then turned it off and just let it cure. And now I'm going to sand down the top and the bottom rims to make sure they're smooth, and we can add our tree line here. So I cut this tree line out of stencil vinyl, and I'm going to apply it to the bottom half of the cup and then just spray paint it. So I'm cutting off the bottom, and I'm going to weed out that inner portion so that we can use that top edge of the stencil as our spray painting stencil. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyway, I'm going to apply my transfer tape. I did save the trees that I weeded out so that I could use them for something else. And so once I got my transfer tape on, I'm going to cut my vinyl into smaller pieces just to make it easier to apply. It's a little bit difficult to get the trees all in a straight line on a curved or tapered tumbler. So if you're using a cup with a straight edge, this process will be a whole lot easier. But for me on this curved tumbler, it was a little bit difficult. So I ended up cutting the pieces into smaller, more manageable sections. And my goal here is to apply these the best I can as straight as possible. I did have to cut some of the trees in half and then kind of replace the other half to make them lie straight and not look wonky on this curved portion of the cup. And to be totally honest, this process was kind of tedious. This did take me a while, but I wanted to go the spray paint route with the stencil so that I could spray paint the bottom of the cup too and have one solid flush line from the trees all the way down to cover the bottom of the cup. If it's easier for you just to cut your tree line out of regular like black vinyl and apply it that way and then finish your bottom off a different way, you can absolutely do that. That might in fact be a little bit easier than what I'm doing here, but this is what I did just so I could have that solid line or flush finish from the spray paint all the way down to the bottom of the cup. So once I was finished placing all of my trees down, I made sure that I trimmed off any of the like straight lines of the stencil vinyl that were there, just so I wouldn't have to deal with too many of them after I painted. And then I wrapped the top half of my cup in saran wrap and then taped off any gaps or anything that I had in between my different tree line stencils. So this is what I've got here. I'm going to tape and wrap everything up, and then I'm going to paint this whole area with gloss black spray from Rustoleum. Let it dry about 40 minutes, and then I'm going to go in and remove all of the tape, saran wrap, and get to peeling all of my stencil vinyl up. Just make sure, as always, that you're being careful when you peel up your stencil vinyl. You don't want to scratch your paint or anything. I've found, at least from my experience, that gloss spray paint always seems to scratch a little bit more easily than like a flat or a matte. So when I'm peeling up stencils and decals for things like this and I've used a gloss paint, I always try to be extra careful just to make sure I don't have any scratches. So once everything's pulled up, this is what the cup looks like. You can see that the trees are a very subtle, just kind of addition to the bottom, but that's exactly what I wanted. So there are a few small little areas in the tree line where we have a straight edge from where the stencil was trimmed. So I'm going to take a black acrylic paint pen and just kind of draw in these little hash marks to look like the tree branches and kind of help blend everything together and get rid of that straight edge. So if you have any of these spots on your cup from where you trim your stencil or anything, you can just go in and touch that right up, and especially under epoxy, you can't even tell. So this was a really easy, quick fix. And now we're ready to move on and apply our decals. I'm using two different colors of Teckwrap Craft Holographic vinyl. The first color is this dark gray, and then for the top we're using emerald green. The emerald green, I'm telling you, is so beautiful. The gray is too, but the green, wow. So I decided to make an offset. I did make this decal. It's available in my Etsy shop. It's linked down below. I decided to make an offset just to kind of help the emerald green pop off the tumbler a little bit more. This offset really does blend into the background for the most part, but I wanted it to be there anyway and help that emerald green pop as much as possible. So I applied my transfer tape, and I'm going to apply this to my cup and trim some spots in the transfer tape to help me lay this decal down as easily as possible. With curved tumblers, it's always hard to apply big decals like this because it can crease, it can lay the wrong way on the curve. So I always like to trim the transfer tape and make sure that I get the decal lying properly. And then if the transfer tape crinkles, I'd rather have that than the actual decal crinkling. So once I had the offset on, I applied the regular decal right on top, just kind of word by word. Look at how beautiful that is, and look how it pops off the tumbler. Oh, I love it. So I sprayed this with a coat of matte clear spray from Rustoleum to seal the decals in, and then I went in with my two final coats of epoxy. The first coat after the decal was about 20 milliliters, and then the final coat was only about 10. So here is the final result. I am so in love with all of the depth and dimension that all of these different layers give this cup, and of course the Teckwrap Craft vinyl just really takes it to the next level. So I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you like this cup design as well, and I hope that it inspires you to create one of your very own. If you did like the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button down below, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye. We are going to be making... Is that stupid? I feel like I should do it again. I love when it goes well. Bye.